Master Nihal Sarin completely boxes his opponent's king. You will see what I mean. Let's see what happens here. So in the game, Nihal just doubled up rooks on the A file, and his opponent responds with pawn to G4, attacking his bishop. But what Nihal noticed is that by pushing the pawns in front of his king, he's now severely weakened the position. In particular, this H2 pawn is very vulnerable. So instead of moving the bishop, Nihal strikes at the center with pawn to E4, giving up his bishop to threaten queen takes H2 with check. So the opponent takes the bishop. And now instead of taking on H2 right away, first Nihal grabs on F3. And after they take back, he's going to play queen takes H2, and this king is getting hunted. So the opponent tries to prevent that by playing king to G1, now guarding the H2 pawn. But now it's possible to just take on E2, attacking the rook, and after it moves, now we can play knight to F3 check with a fork winning back some material. But Nihal, he wants even more than that. He plays a stronger move, queen to F4, now infiltrating with the queen and now threatening knight to H3 check, followed by queen to F3, which is going to lead to checkmate. So the opponent takes the pawn on E2, with the point that after knight to H3 check and king to H1, he can now block queen to F3 check with rook to G2. But after king to H1, it was here that Nihal foresaw a forced checkmate in 12 moves. He starts by sacking his rook. Rook takes A5. Giving up his rook, because now if you take, the rook has left the back rank and queen to F1 is checkmate. So the rook has to stay on the back rank with rook to B1. But now queen to F3 check, only move rook to G2. And the opponent has stopped the checkmate, but this rook is now pinned to the king and can't move. But how do you exploit this pinned rook on G2? Well, Nihal shows exactly how. There's one move here, forcing checkmate. Nihal finds the sensational rook to A1, now sacrificing his rook two different ways. But the point of this move is that if you take with the rook, we recapture with check, and after the knight takes, queen to F1 and queen to G1 is checkmate. But after rook to A1, why couldn't you just take the free rook with the knight? And that is what the opponent did. They played knight takes A1. But the point of this move is now that we distracted the knight from clogging the second rank, we now infiltrate with rook to A2, now threatening queen takes G2 with checkmate. And there's absolutely no defense. The only way to defend the rook is with rook to G1, but now Nihal hits him with knight to F2,